Hello, my dear fellow human beings, shining beings. I'm happy to be here with you live this morning. Don't think I'm coming from beautiful Eastbourne by the sea, because I haven't been outside for many weeks. And so I like to imagine that I am in a space station. And even though it seems like I'm standing still, we are actually traveling through time and space at a alarming rate of amazing speed. Good morning. That's Maggie, isn't it? Solar Hawk 7. Good morning, Helen and Bear. Lovely to see you. Oh, wow. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Nice to have you guys here with me today. If there's anything you want me to say or do, just shoot me a comment and I'll be happy to respond in a slightly inappropriate fashion, which is my want. It's Paul. Okay. Good morning, Paul. Brilliant. All right. That's this is the problem with code names, isn't it? Mine is easy to remember. I'm Starfields, which is always a fun thing. Morning, Sonia. That's really nice to see lots of people joining me here this morning. And I consider this to be a space of freedom and imagination and just sort of a holiday from the hard, if you will. This is really, yes, this is something that I would like to provide. If you want news, you can turn on the television. Good morning, Naya. Nice to have you here with me. And Ilka, good morning. And SK Ivanov. What's your first name, SK? Renata has joined us as well. Wow, we have a good crowd here this morning. I was just saying, we are here in a space of freedom outside time and space. We are not going to be concerning ourselves with what's going on in the hard. There's I think we spent way too much time thinking about the heart and our problems in the heart, and not enough time thinking about other wonderful things. Julie, good morning. And Sonia, good morning from Stuttgart. Hello, Sonia. I'm on my space-time ship, orbiting a slowly rotating galaxy, I like to imagine. And I'm going to wait until the situation on planet Earth has returned to something more attractive, and then I will steer my spaceship towards it, and I might land, or I might not. I might like it here. I might like to stay here and just keep this space of wonderment for myself and all who want to come and visit here. A holiday of joy, says Renata. Yes, that's correct. You know, we have got this wonderful ability as human beings to escape into the other worlds, into the other dimensions, and have beautiful experiences that are really good for our energy body, and that therefore are also really, really good for our physical body, for our immune system, for our health, but most of all, for our sanity. Because people are not really meant to live their whole lives running around like headless chickens or a bunch of muppets. That's not what the great creative order had in mind when it turned out the human race. Good morning, Wendy. Lovely to have you here with me. Wendy from Scotland. Woohoo! Yeah, so mostly ladies we have. I had a laugh this morning. Somebody posted something in Star Matrix 2 about doing some sort of energy thing with their husband, and it worked really well, and the husband was really happy. And I said that, 95% of GOE members are female. And if all of them managed to make their husbands see the sense in energy, then we would have 190% of people in the GOE. And I appreciate that's a bit of a mathematical joke, but I thought that was hilarious. 100% of people, that's good. 190% of people, I wonder who the other 90% may be. Okay, yeah, so give me something to do, people. Say something to me. Say, throw something at me. Make me be here with you and respond to you and talk to you. There's something that I can use as a jump off, as a platform. I mean, I can talk forever. Of course I can. Ha, yes. When I was a little aspect, um, I think for the first 5 or 6 years of my life, I must have thought that my name was shut the hell up. Nah, not really. But that was heard an awful lot. And it's really an interesting thing because, I think a lot of ladies, we have so many ladies here, I might as well talk about that in that context. A lot of ladies were supposed to be more of a decoration, they're nice to look at, but you don't really want to hear what they have to say. And I've always wondered about this, whether actually gentlemen can even hear what I'm saying. Helen's just posted something great. I was telling a friend yesterday about the symbols he put magic spells and potions. Excellent, excellent, excellent. If this was a male friend, the genius symbols might have been also a possibility for that, because that I did write that with the gentleman in mind. And actually, when I came up with the title for that, the genius symbols, it was based on a lucid dream where Einstein turned up and said to me, "You've got to tell them about the symbols. You've got to tell them about creativity. You've got to tell them how it works." And that's why I called them the genius symbols. And then it turned out that the ladies weren't interested in genius at all. And it was kind of hilarious because it's like, yes, if you think too much, then you become ugly. That was the saying in the 1950s. And I wonder if that still sort of goes with one thing or another. Thank you for that, Helen. That's brilliant. I'm sure he's going to get lots and lots of wonderful benefits from that, because we really need more. Um, shall I use that term? Enlightened people. And enlightened people to me is somebody who's understood consciously that energy is real and that gives us so much opportunity and so much, I don't know, a competitive advantage over other people. The few men who've actually cottoned on to how energy works and how you deal with emotions, surely they must have a massive advantage when it comes to going to a party and having a little word with the ladies or whatever it is that they like to do. Okay, Solar Hawk asked about snow globing. All right, and so I am going to briefly respond to that. Right, so energy is real, and um, we can create energy objects that are called areas, and that stands for it's an existing energy reality. So it's not something you hallucinate or you make up. It's actually real, and it's made of energy. And I saw a thing this morning about James Dean and his cursed car. The little bastard, it was called, and this was apparently a cursed car with cursed components, and every single person who had components from this car in their cars got killed or went into terrible accidents. And so, people like, how does that work? It works because energy is quite real, and all material objects have, an energy existence. And you can shape that and make that into something, which is something that we use a lot when we do this thing like, this is just not a cup. This is my starry cup of stars. And as soon as you do that, this ordinary object becomes an energy artifact. And so we now have a starry cup of stars, and we put liquids into it, and this changes the nature of the water that you drink from it or the other objects. So, this whole snow globe thing, is an energy object that doesn't have a material component. And we can make various little energy spheres and put stuff inside of them. And that's really a sort of a beginner's way of starting to make actual energy objects. In the thought flow process, what we do is we put like things inside that we don't know how to deal with, and then we just hand that over by throwing it over our head and sort of handing it over to the higher operating processes. But the core of the snow globe is about this creating a small energy object. And this is a long story. I'm hoping I'm not going to bore people who don't know what we're doing here. But originally this comes from the gift. And that's our sort of first exercise in that. And if you'd like to make a gift for somebody, let's just do that for fun. So I'm not boring you guys. So think of somebody that you would like to give a gift of energy, a gift of love to. Perfect gift of love. Think of somebody you love, somebody you care about, somebody you want to help. And if you can't think of anybody, just send it to me. I'm always open and willing to receive gifts of energy to help me along in my incarnation. Okay, so what we do is we just create this little globe here, just shape it with our hands of energy. Ah. And then we ask our dear energy mind to suggest a gift that will be an energy gift inside of this snow globe. It's quite straightforward. What needs to go in there? Some kind of idea will come to you as to what should be in there. If you're really new to this and you're like, what the hell are you doing? You can think in terms of sort of what color would this sphere be? What idea of color should that be if you are going to be sending that to this particular person? What color do they need? What kind of shapes are swirling around inside there? And what does that remind you of? You can use cloud watching to have an idea of what that reminds you of. And then when you consciously sort of got an idea what that is, perhaps a flower or a mountain or an ocean or a starship, a UFO, then we just simply release that like you would release a bird to fly to the person that you're giving it to. And in that releasing movement, you get a nice little energy sensation. And that is your reward for having done that, for having given the gift. It's a really good beginner's exercise in what we might think of as energy magic or just an example of modern energy. Good morning, Lorna. Ah, yes, excellent. Lorna says, sending you lots of love. I have someone in great need of a gift of healing. Wonderful. And what I really like about this particular exercise, the gift, is that consciously, we don't really know what a person really needs for healing in the widest metaphorical sense. I remember a guy that I saw standing at a bus stop, an old guy. He was laden down with shopping and he was really so exhausted. I felt so sorry for him. And I wanted to give him a gift. And the gift that my energy mind suggested was a massive bunch of carnations, pink carnations. Now, consciously, you would never think to send an old guy at a bus stop a bunch of pink carnations. But that's what it was, and that's what I sent. And the nice thing is when you do proper energy work, then you can see real results in the really real world. And so this old guy standing there in the rain at the bus stop, as I sent this, all of a sudden went and looked around. And then the bus drew up and he was still looking over his shoulder as he was climbing into the bus. So this I love. I have no idea why that had to be pink carnations and not, I don't know, big steam engine or a sun or a moon or a star. but it was the right thing. And that's what our dear energy minds are for. They know this, they can sense this, they understand how it works. And that's why I love the gift so much. Helen said, I have an awkward dilemma. Ooh, an awkward dilemma. Not just a dilemma, but an awkward dilemma. And so I could use the snow globe. Yeah, I mean, snow globes are brilliant for all sorts of things. The exercise that I demonstrated the other day, and if you see this, I'd love you to keep sharing this, because this is such a nice thing to do when you are really, really stressed and you have lots of worries. And I know that outside our beautiful space time ship, there are millions, if not billions, of people who are really scared and worried for all sorts of reasons, for themselves, for their loved ones, for their countries, for the world. And the snow globe is a wonderful way of passing some of this over. And here we have just a snow globe, and what we do is we think about what worries us, and whatever that may be. Let's say, argument's sake here, the world economy worries me. So I just blow that gently into the globe. And even as you do that, you can actually feel the release of that. You're sharing this with somebody. You're not all by yourself. It's not wound up inside you anymore. And then you can just simply either pass that over to your own higher operating systems if you need to find a solution for the world economy, or you can also just release it like that. It's a lovely exercise, blowing your worries, your sorrows into this globe and letting the oceans of energy just take it away is a lovely, lovely thing. Oh, Ilka says the gift is of my favorite exercises. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, and also to remind us of this. I mean, most of us here know the gift inside and out, and we've given it many times and received gifts too, especially at the conferences and trainings where you have, energists really doing this stuff. It's just a question of remembering to use these things, of not drowning in the heart. And I'm starting to think of it that way. I really think that we need to spend less time worrying about the hard and more time enjoying the oceans of energy, the real world, the physical world, our physical bodies, our physical selves. Basically, worrying a lot less about the hard. I said this a couple of times over the last week, that they say that a pot that's watched will never boil. And yeah, my friend Einstein says you can't solve a problem from the same space where it was created. And the problems that we are having are created by the hard. And obsessing about the hard and complaining about the hard isn't going to solve this. We need to step outside to get the bigger picture, to get a better perspective, but most of all, so that we stay strong and we can actually think and act in a cohesive manner. This doesn't mean at all sticking your head into the sand, quite the opposite. I think that people who are totally engaged in the hard and think that the hard is all there is and that's all that matters, those are the people who are literally sticking their heads in the sands of the hard. And who wants to get stuck in there? Nobody does. Woohoo! Okay, what else you got, guys? What's going on? What would you like to share? What would you like to tell everybody? What would you like to tell me this morning? What can we get up to? I'm going to have a slurp of the mystery drink in my starry cup of stars. So good. You can literally, you know, it gets to a point where you can see the sparkles in the drink that you're drinking, and you can feel the sparkles going through your body. And it's really nice. It's just such a nice thing. It's so beautiful. I feel so sorry for people who haven't got an idea that energy is real. I've always felt sorry for people like that, but it's been just like, God Almighty, they're missing out on so much fun, so much fun, and oh dear, dear. Okay, right. Paloma, hello, Paloma. She says, I communicate with animals and I've learned a lot from animals. They see the bigger picture than we do. Yes. Paloma, you are so right. And I think my one of my biggest advantages, really, my biggest advantages when it came into dealing with human spirituality, human emotions, human psychology, is that I did not come in from that angle. I came in from the animal angle. And animals don't lie to you. They don't get confused. They don't tell you stuff that's not true. You know, they this trained me, honed me to look for real behavior and to really see those connections. And I found this energy thing through watching the behavior of animals and asking questions. That's where I found the big revelation. So I am forever grateful to the animal kingdom for showing me the way to how it actually works with energy exchanges between people, with our emotions, and everything else that we've got in modern energy comes from me working not with people or sitting on a mountaintop and getting a burning bush delivering tablets to me in gold that I keep in my hat. But let us not digress. Okay, Renata says, I'm loving Star Matrix. That's nice to hear. Yes, I'm loving it too. It's a gift that keeps on giving. Absolutely love it. And I just, oh, yes. I don't want to keep going on and on and on about Star Matrix and boring people and thinking that I'm trying to sell them Star Matrix, because I really don't want to. It's just such a wonderful thing. It really is. I will say one thing. How did this get started? All right. We had there is a lady on one of the Star Matrix groups, and she has a very elderly mother, over 90 years old. And asking the elderly mother about star memories has been really beneficial for their relationship, for the elderly mother, for their meetings. It's just been wonderful. And I made the comment that I wanted to, could this person ask their mother specifically for a star memory that she could share with our group. And the star memory was of a little girl, nearest damn it, 100 years ago in rural Ireland, on a bicycle with her father. And they come past this really rich house where a really rich person must live, because the entire garden was covered in white roses in bloom. And they were so beautiful that the little girl said to her father, oh, my mummy would absolutely love one of these roses. And the father said, well, why don't you knock on the door and ask if you could get a white rose to take home to your mum? And the little girl was a bit afraid and also very shy, but she really wanted her mum to have one of those beautiful roses. So she got all her courage together, went in the gate, up the steps to the big rich house, knocks on the door, and this old man opens the door, and the kid just sort of manages to stutter it out, please could I have a rose for my mum? And the old guy looked at her for a moment, went away, came back with a big pair of secateurs, and he cut her an enormous bunch of these white roses That was nearly as big as the little girl herself, and she carried it all proudly to her dad, and they took it home to the mum. And I thought that was such a beautiful, beautiful thing, such a beautiful star memory. And what happened when this story was told was that people piled in with stories about their grandmothers. And I have this fabulous story about Lucky Hands that some of you might know. And somebody said about their grandmother that she used to take in washing, and that used to be thought of as being a terrible thing for a poor person to do. But with hindsight, she realized that the grandmother had started her own business. And that again triggered out other memories of grandmothers. And I felt it was really wonderful to have this connection, this appreciation, this benefited us to see things in a different way, to understand things in a different way, and also have this kind of interesting connection to our own ancestry, our grandmothers, in a positive way. I found that really, really touching, shall we say. So, yeah. Okay, Lorna says, I so agree with the heart issue. I feel sorry for them too. Yeah, it's true. Absolutely, absolutely true. This is one of the things we need. Yeah, become coming back to where the own husbands don't even believe in energy and think you're a lunatic. I mean, that has got to change, really, hasn't it? We need to make a bit more of an effort here to convert more people to the reality of what we're saying here. I mean, we're not doing this new age bullshit anymore, are we? Hello, Dee. Lovely to see you. Better late than never, as they say. Helen. Oh, God, Helen. That's a can of worms, isn't it? What do I think of channeled entities? All right. What do I think of channeled entities? Well, I know that we can make up entities at the drop of a hat. We can just ask our dear energy mind to make us an entity, and it will. It's as simple as that. So my first go-to is that this channeled entity is an entity that the person has created themselves, whether they know this or not. My big revelation was when I saw a TV show on Aleister Crowley, and they were describing one of his 5-day blood rituals, and I got it that he didn't raise a demon, aka connected to an existing demon, but he actually made one. This is what the ritual does. It makes the demon. It custom makes the demon, just like you bake a cake. You know, you take 2 eggs and few ounces of sugar and little touch of vanilla, and kaboom, we have a cake. So, are there any extraneous entities? There may be, but before we go there, I think we need to explore the people's relationships with the entities that they create, first of all, and see and start there. I think that would probably be wonderful. Ooh, and switching across to, we're having all sorts of wonderful topic switches here. Grandmother energy came up in another group I'm in this week. How interesting. Isn't that curious? Perhaps perhaps they're looking at us in our isolation insanity and sending us love from the star fields above and saying, hey, you know, we've been through far worse than what you're going through right now, and we've made it through. And, you know, you are much stronger than you think you are. And I think that was one of the big sort of messages that we all got from the stories of our grandmothers and the lives that they lived and what they accomplished and how they found their resources to make it work, to make it work. Oh dear, yes, okay. Well, we've been here a while together. So what shall we do? What shall we do? I wonder. The whole grandmother thing, you know, everybody here by definition, has to have had a number of grandmothers. Their father's mother and their mother's mother. Whether they are known or otherwise, everybody has two grandparents, must have, else that whole thing just doesn't work. It just does not work. Ooh, Bear just said something. I was helping someone this week connect with the love of his grandmother who lives in another country. It was amazing. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. This grandmother thing, seeing that we've got it here. And the person whose story of the white roses I told, if they want to be publicly associated with this, I'd be more than happy to do that. It's just that when I'm telling a story, I can't obviously presuppose that it's okay for this story to be passed on. I'm just saying. So yeah, let's just do something with grandmothers. Why don't we? Two grandmothers. We each have two grandmothers. And it doesn't matter if, for example, you are suspecting that you're not actually your father's child, or that you never knew your grandparents, or you were adopted, or other weirdness happened in the family. It doesn't matter. In the real world, you have got two grandmothers, paternal grandmother and a maternal grandmother. So why don't we just for fun, just sort of create those entities or connect with those entities and say, okay, my maternal grandmother somewhere there, just sort of let yourself be guided to that. And my paternal grandmother is over here. And if you'd like to have some sort of visual angle to this, you could think of them both as two shining stars. And it doesn't matter if they're dead or alive, because that doesn't really matter at the energy levels at all. It doesn't factor. So we have these two shining stars there. And really, if you like, just close your eyes for a moment and allow yourself to be touched by that starlight. Where it needs to touch you, where it needs to love you, where it needs to inspire you. And the two, they can easily become more than the sum of their parts. And we can think of that also in terms of not just two stars, but three. You are the third star. And that creates what some say is the strongest magical system there is, the triad. It's an interesting energy experience. Now, I might invite you to find a quiet space, a safe space, and explore that a little bit further. In your own time and in your own way, in the way that you would like to take that a little bit further and use that to evolve you. Something that I might like to add here is that every person also has two grandfathers, a paternal grandfather and a maternal grandfather. At the star level, we certainly don't have a battle of the sexes, because the soul has no gender. It has no gender. But perhaps the two grandfathers might also be stars And we can form that third star point, create another triangle, another triad. And that'll be a nice thing too. What's happening here in my ascension is that this whole thing becomes sort of a diamond. With you at the apex of it. It's like all these stars, and there are more behind that. And because each one of these stars has two maternal grandparents, and there's this enormous grid behind you, above you, all around you. But you are the living focal point, the tip that is experiencing reality now. Ooh, that was groovy. Didn't see that coming. Okay. Whew. Nice though. Nice. Nice pattern. Like it. Oh. Well, for me, the reconnection, naturally occurring reconnection with my family line, with my grandmother, just now with the 4 grandparents, that's something I never, ever would have expected to ever happen in this incarnation for all sorts of reasons. That has blown my socks off. It's not something that I even ever tried for or I ever wanted to do, to have a better relationship with my mother or my grandmother or my ancestors. It's just never been a topic for me, never been of interest to me. But because of Star Matrix and the star memories, it's just happened. And that is profound, this profound gift, an amazing gift. Wow, did not expect that, but it's one of the Star Matrix side effects. So I welcome it, though. I feel so much more supported since I've had a sense of a better relationship with my ancestors across time and space. Ooh, interesting. Star tree. Yeah, absolutely. That's some way of thinking of it. A gentleman on Star Matrix 1 had that same thing. There's this sort of a family tree type arrangement of star ancestors behind him, which is quite interesting. Paul is the only bloke here. Yes, yeah, well, that's the problem, isn't it? I don't know. See, I don't know what else I can do. I try to invite the gentleman to, I'm not woo-woo. I'm not making people wear pink. I don't know what else I can do to invite more men to come and join the energy revolution, because it is a revolution. Absolutely, it's a revolution. It's a wonderful thing. Yay, revolutionaries. Love it. Renata says, I can show what Renata says. She's been thinking about the ancestors recently. Yes, it's interesting that. And Star Matrix gives us a way to do that without all the pain and suffering and bloody misery, but instead to appreciate them for, their contributions, their best moments. That surely, it's not a get out of jail free card for perpetrators, as the negative ones will have it. It's a lifelong course in learning how to do it right and how to be the best that you can possibly be. So, that's really good. I'm glad. Okay. Perhaps the grandmothers are in the air. Perhaps they really are out there in the star fields and going, oh my God, what are they doing? We need to send them some love and some energy. We need to. Our friends in high places are the people in the star fields. And those are, yeah, amazing. Just amazing. Okay, guys. So we've been here a while. I am going to love you and leave you. Um, Stay energy high. Don't get too befuddled with all the crap that's going on in the heart, with all the craziness, with all the confused people running around, confusing each other and themselves, and then getting angry about it. Try not to get involved in that on too much, because standing back and just observing and keeping your energy high, that's a good way to find your path through a riot, basically, an insanity that's going on here right now. And take good care of yourselves, take good care of those that you love. Ah, Bear Collins says the White Rose story was from her mum. Yes, it was. Bear Collins is the author of an amazing book called Every Mum Has Magic Kisses. It's beautiful, beautiful thing. And she does some absolutely delightful work. She's a delightful person. So if you ever would like to work with somebody or to talk to somebody about mums, magic kisses, or anything else, I can highly, highly recommend Bear. She's a wonderful, wonderful lady. Wonderful lady. And her mum is amazing too. And please do thank her for the White Rose story, which I am so thrilled I could share with today with the people who are here, but in due course, many, many more than we can know will hear this story. And I absolutely love that. And thank you so much for sharing it with us on Star Matrix 2. Thank you. Fantastic. Okay, guys. So, yeah, that was our Sunday Live with Silvia. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all your marvelous comments. Let us go forth and how does that go? Unfold your radiant wings and raise your crown of lights. And go and do amazing things in days and in nights. And I think that's really something I'm looking forward to in the unfolding week. Tomorrow is Power of the Positives, part 10. Can't wait to hear what that's going to be all about. And failing that, I will see you guys next week for Silvia live on Sunday. Lots of love and blessings to you. Go out, radiate, and sparkle. Bye for now. See you soon. Lots of love.